December 30th that I can get checked. I'm trying to make certain that I give it time to heal. So whenever I get up and get around outside, so please I can pick it off. So
That makes sense. Especially in weather conditions.
it's really hard for me. Yeah, tonight could be black ice. That's extreme dangerous. My neck surgery. So, but just trying to give it time to heal. Challenging, emergency, I'm not supposed to do anything physical besides walking. More than 10 pounds for 3 months.
Yeah,
That's hard.
yeah, I know. Do you have someone back in your hand?
Oh, yeah, man.
So that jury trial must be over with and the security guard left to lock the doors.
I told him we ended up in like he came down and talked to me about it, had a whole conversation. Like, yes, we really do have a meeting and
He
we
left probably just before 6 and
I heard somebody in there tonight, walk around, beat the way I went.
yeah.
He didn't come out and stop me.
And Pat's not here yet, but she may call. Gets here.
Let her know let her know she's walking up. It was snowing so hard in our house.
Yeah, like a little whiteout.
Anyway, sorry about that.
Okay.
These are in the tax form for.
It's a perfect expression of reaction. Oh. At least there's all of the same number. I think I got all of the. So.
Hopefully I get.
Cool.
all of them.
Yeah.
Okay, pre-stop. There. It makes. She did, it's like, here. What the hell say? What do you think? This is not legal
I
jargon.
saw him read it.
Yeah,
Oh,
this
it
is
is.
all affirmation of everything. we already
I
know.
will.
Okay, so if that, see, we need to have our sign those.
Know each other? In bed? We got
$6 months. So that $10,000.
Yeah, I know, that's good.
A big old pile of money. Are we ready? Still make the votes?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So we are calling the order. We got a lot to do, but I'm going to pledge allegiance first. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You have a hard time saying it without doing our kids up.
No, because I didn't grow up for it. I screw up that one. Had plan commission, fair.
That's good stuff. Okay, so I need a approval for our complete agenda all listed out here.
I wanted to request that we add under old business. I'll give a quick report on SWCD annual meeting.
Do you want to do that separate from the committee report? So we've got it up here, we can tie in with that.
Where's
See, got it on that.
I'll do that on I'll talk about but I want to talk about it in there.
Can do. So you want to add,
SWCD annual meeting. close the loop on that.
And keep it moving, that means. Okay, so with that, is that a motion to?
Yes.
We do. As amended. And a second. All in favor? Aye. Oh, I did it out of order. I thought I had to have approval for the complete agenda before I did introductions. Okay, so most of us got to introduce ourselves. Tim, we'll go around the room again. So I'm Doug Pine, board chair.
Stan Diamond, supervisor.
David Mao, employee, contract employees, basic species, spec.
Ken knows who I am, and I'm gonna go open the door real quick.
Michelle Jones, Purdue Extension. Amy Russell, we, who's gonna be here? David Carter.
I'm Tim Bennett. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Well,
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you for the invitation. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Tony got us a report. Let's see. I don't see it. Honestly. Well, Bree is the state. Tony would be NRCS. I didn't see it when I looked through it. So I was hoping somebody was gonna tell me where I missed it. There's actually David, Lisa, and Phelan reports. Financials. All right, I'll take it in there. Michelle, since you're here, and Lisa's, I assume, let Pat in.
Sure.
Would you let us know all the things that you're up to?
Sure. So, this has been a crazy month and we're only on day 14. And I started back after vacation on the 5th with, computer problems, which was great. But on the 6th, I'm part of the Animal Science Focus Group. So we hosted an extension educator training where we had 4-H, health and human science educators and A&R educators up on campus where we were focused on food products. So we did yogurt tasting. We got to learn about eggs, and then like the film on them if you wash them, and do eggs really go bad? Turns out they don't. They just get dehydrated, and so even though they float, it's just because the egg dehydrated. You could still, if you kept it nice and cold, eat it, but again, it's in your discretion. Then we did, what else did we do? We got to go in and cut up the chicken carcass properly into the actual pieces, so we got to suit up like you were in Meat Slam and hang out in the fridge. And I'm pretty sure all those chicken cuts are now with butcher block for sale. So it was a lot of fun. I learned how to actually kind of cut the breast off of the chicken in one piece. So you could just like lay it out, saute it, still leave the skin on it. So that was cool.
Really did.
Then we had lamb and goat tasting. So goat yogurt, still not good. Still tastes like goat. But roasted goat with the Caribbean flavor it just tasted like meat. And then the lamb burger meatballs, the lamb meatloaf meatballs, and then the Greek lamb meatballs were excellent. And then we rounded off the day by learning about alternative proteins that produce working on research. So we've got invasive carp in the Wabash maybe. And so they have all these hunting and fishing events, but all those fish just normally go to the landfill. So there's a new researcher who's doing research on turning those fish into chorizo, because those fish are a delicacy in China. Not so much of a big demand for it here. They're very bony fish, and so she turned it into chorizo. We didn't get to try it, but she's also doing research on cricket protein. So someone has farmed crickets, turned them into cricket flour, and added them to a tortilla to make it a complete meal. And she didn't provide the tortillas, but she did provide crickets that we could try. Tasted really grassy. But that was a lot of fun. We had about 30 people at that event. So 4-H educators, health and human sciences. It was just fun to get to do something as we came back. And so what I've been working on is working on my conference on January 28th in Bloomington, which is the Farm Shield Conference. It's geared towards succession planning. It's for farmers, small business owners. We'll have a lawyer, we'll have insurance agents. We have Jolene Brown, who is just an amazing speaker. And I highly recommend coming. The night before in Bloomington is the Purdue IUP. Just saying, you make an evening of it. And then, but it starts at 8 and ends at 4, so you can go on your way. It's $40 a person, and you'll get a USB flash drive, all the documents and everything else. So it's really good and worth it. And I'll send an email out after this. And then my next program I have that we're working on is our Ag Women Engaged Conference, but it's Purdue Edge and Ag Conference. So we've gone through some rebranding. That is also in Bloomington. The pre-conference is on the 18th of February, and the conference day is on the 19th. And then our Merging Ag Leaders Conference is on the 18th as well. So that's for grade 8 through 12. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Good.
And there's a beef cattle meeting on January 29th at the fairgrounds. Ron Lemonager is going to be the speaker. And I'm thinking he's going to talk black vultures and orange.
What is beef cattle?
Thursday, January 29th.
What time?
6 o'clock. It's a pitch in, so bring something to share. Beef Cattle Association provides. That's worth coming because
Well, it's good stuff.
yeah, more to come.
Lisa, to rewind for you, we were gonna look over Tony's report, but it's not in our packet.
Oh, what? Let's say, but attach sheet in my report.
Oh,
All right.
you're okay then. Yeah, come on. Did Holden send anything?
Okay, I don't.
Okay. So did Nathan's the state stuff?
Yeah.
They look like holidays and reminders to keep your grants coming in, that they're doing the cover crop stuff, and we talked about that last month. I didn't see anything new except for the community listening sessions.
My question is when are those? There's no dates or locations for that.
It's still on the front page of news. I don't see it, Steve.
Well, it's through the QR code.
Yeah, but we can, yeah.
It should, yeah, they should have.
Oh, the forum is closed. So,
Closed or not open yet?
well, it says this forum is closed.
But it's not open yet.
Okay.
But they just posted this, ESS report like a couple days before I turned.
Well, if you get that information and could route it, that'd be great. No,
Yeah.
no, great.
All right, that is our partner reports. Lisa, you want to share your office report with us?
Okay. I'll keep it brief. Everything's pretty much spelled out. It's, one exciting thing is we did have 6 farmers take advantage of our cost share program that we had available through the SWCD Soil Health, Clean Water Indiana grant. And that covered 691.5 acres in cover crops this year. So some farmers took advantage of the full amount that they could get, like a maximum $3,000. Some didn't. It's kind of across the board. When I do my grant report, when I'm complete with that, then I can, I've actually exhausted the funds that they give you up front. So once I do the grant report, then I can request reimbursement for the money that's paid out this fall for cover crops. It covered what we already had, covered most of them. There's a 2 that I didn't have. Like we wrote it out of our checking account, but we'll have to wait for reimbursement.
If you don't request those reimbursements, do you have to then reimburse the state for what you do not use?
Yeah, no, if from here on, like they give you upfront on the Clean Water Indiana, they give you half the money up front. We spent a huge chunk of that on towards the drill. And we had a remaining portion left that I've been using to pay these cover crop reimbursements. But from after that first initial payment, every payment I get from the grant funds has to be a request I send them for us to be reimbursed. Like we paid up front and they reimburse us.
Okay.
They really want us to use every penny we asked for and that they approved.
Sure.
So as we get to I don't even think it'll last for year 3. Maybe it will, but I think hopefully with the new drill and the promotion of the program, hopefully we can use all of the rest of it next year. But if it doesn't, and you get to the end, if you need to do a modification to maybe add a different practice in or something to use that money up, we have to go through a different process of getting that.
Okay.
I don't anticipate that. So, Mill Creek, this is really exciting. I'm going to minimize this for a minute. I know last month I told you guys that I was going to be spending a lot of time doing watershed assessment, and Bailey was able to go out with me. We started the whole process with just identifying every waterway that went through the watershed here in Morgan County, in that Mill Creek watershed that went under a road, and we numbered it, and Emma helped us plot it out in a Google map. We initially thought we could use my maps in Google to create a route from one to the next so that we could just kind of punch it into the phone and follow the directions, but that doesn't work like that in Google Maps. It'll only let you do 10 plots at a time. And as you can see, there were a lot of them. So I did it the old school way, and we printed off the map that with all the plots that Emma had created, and I drew a line with a pen, and we followed the line. And Bailey helped me navigate. She's an excellent navigator. We didn't get turned around, I don't think, too many times, but we ran into some closed bridges and things that were obstacles. But so then I had created a Google form. So at every point, Bailey would pull the Google form up on her phone, as long as we had cell phone service, and she'd fill out all the questions that we wanted to ask at each spot, so we didn't miss anything. We'd put the GPS coordinates in and take a couple pictures, and it all went with that Google form for that spot.
Great.
So at the end of the day, we had
How did you get it combined? So on there's also Putnam County and Hendricks
Well,
County.
once we created the form and we shared with other districts in the watershed how easy it was, they were like, hey, we shared it with them. And honestly, they didn't really tell us they were going to use it, but we started plotting all of the coordinates that were in our Excel sheet, and we were like, wait, these aren't even in our area. And so I reached out to Sarah, and she's like, yeah, that form is awesome. Like, we're using it. I'm like, okay, well, your plots are showing up in our Excel sheet. So this was the form.
Oh, so
and
it's a live document.
it's a live
Oh, so
document
Google.
update.
Okay.
Yeah. So we had all of the answers already at the end of the day when we got back to the office. We're in this Excel sheet, and you can click on each link to look at the pictures. But then the really cool thing was that Bailey figured out how to take this data from an Excel sheet and actually put it back in my maps. So we have the GPS coordinates. You can click on each spot and it tells you what you entered for the answers. So like this one that I clicked on says it has a wide buffer on one side, narrow buffer on the other, mild erosion, mixed vegetation, row crop, no tillage, and residence. There was no log jam, no trash, no livestock. You can click on these links to see what it looked like. You can see our pictures that we took.
Perfect.
What's that funny grass that we tried to have David, I think, buy for us. But the other cool thing, and I don't know that we've really gotten an opportunity to change colors on a lot of it. You did? Okay, so right now, all of they all have a color assigned to them, and that's based on the amount of erosion that we saw at the site. I can
Did they
change
give you
that.
any scale, or did you guys kind of create your own?
We kind of created our own
Okay.
scale just based on our opinions.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep,
Like
that's good.
a buffer size, you're like, can you drive a pickup truck beside the buffer, or is it wider than that or narrower? So, we were given some photo examples, but they were not real descriptive, so we just used our best. So I can change the color though, like by changing how it's styled. So right now that's erosion, and I can change it to whether or not invasives were present. So red is yes and green is no.
Which for that one, since it's winter,
It was kind of hard to, we were looking for like, remnants of herbaceous, or if we saw like bush honeysuckle or something like that, but, here's for log jams. So there actually was a log jam down here, and we're able to report that to the highway department the other day.
Nice.
Uh,
Was it under the Mill Creek Bridge? The big
No,
iron bridge
this
right
is-
there, or? I think it was when you left.
was-
Yeah.
Oh, go in. It is the Rhodes Creek over near, Alaska. I think that intersection is called Alaska.
Yeah, so right, the Bell House was right there on Craver Road? No, I'm not thinking the right spot. Oh, gotcha. I know where you are now. Yeah. You were just north of Louisville.
Yeah, I had initially got off to take a
Yeah.
picture of this mess up here, and then I saw the other.
You were by the
Oh,
barn
yeah.
that's painted with like the silo looks like a totem pole.
That
Yeah.
is there, we didn't go.
You were just east of the airport hospital or the Big Creek.
So
Yeah.
anyways, this map is super
Yeah.
cool, and the unfortunate thing is, it doesn't update with new data, so,
makes it seem like that. So, yeah.
yeah, so we just will wait until all the other counties are done entering their data, and then we'll do an upload with all, we just did one tonight right before the meeting to include all of the points that had been collected up to this. So, that was just, it was really cool to work as a team on that, because Emma did a lot of the plotting for us and like really sat down and looked at the maps, and then I came up with a Google form and kind of had this dream about, wouldn't it be cool if this all happened on a map, and then Bailey made it happen. So
Good.
it was really neat, and I wanted to share that with you guys tonight, because that's pretty, I think that's really.
Great. Having all that information in a format that the folks that are gonna be doing decision making with, that's big time impact.
Right, so this section of the 319 grant is just an assessment type, coming up with an assessment for a plan, which I don't have multiple copies, it's 136 pages long. But I did print a copy if you guys want to flip through it, or if you want me to send it to you electronically, I can. This is the draft plan that we will submit, or has been submitted to the 319 grant group through IDEM. And if they look at it and they agree that our assessments are correct and that there's enough resource concern there, then we can apply for like another 319 grant that will grant us money to go in and fix the things that we saw as resource concerns in this assessment. Right now, invasive species aren't included in 319 as a acceptable cost share. But I think they're looking at that, so that's why we went ahead and took the invasives data while we were working. Some of those
Well,
things.
hopefully other users will end up with access to it. Just
Yeah.
all that data could go into eventually that multi-layered Indiana map. It's just getting it digitized and getting it.
The only thing we worried about putting it out publicly is there are a lot of photos of people's homes. We took a lot of photos of land, probably not more than what they could get if they just did like a Google, road view. But,
You could just take a screenshot of the existing dots, and just put it in. just, A working map. but
Yeah.
Still just
that might be a good idea.
keeps the privacy, but still privacy.
Yeah. And I think we can select certain points, like certain data points on the map to share, maybe, when you shared it with me. Like first it only did erosion, but I don't remember
Oh, right, so,
if I could look at pictures or not. We might be able to do.
Yeah, that's the other thing about it, is like her being able to go in and choose which questions styled after, that's because she's an editor. People who are just viewing it, which we would only, like, we would.
Certain
want the
people
public
have
to be able to
permission.
look at that. Yeah, they would only be able to be one question. Like one
With that.
set of data. I think they'd be able to click on, I don't know if they'd be able to click on it and see the rest of the data in there, but as for like how it's styled, they call it, it'd just be the one question.
Cool, okay, I could go down a million side roads.
I know, it was really cool. I was really excited.
Yeah.
I geeked out enough that I had to send Michelle like text messages about it. Pretty excited.
I guess you're the geek, just so we're.
I was really
Oh,
excited.
she went full nerd, it's okay.
Yeah.
Local grants, those, have wrapped up for the year. I do have a couple that are open. We're gonna talk about the Master Gardeners one later. I do need to do 1099s for all of those, before the end of January. We have 4,300 trees ordered to give away. I only have about 130 right now that are left. Saving some back for David, but, we have had an occasional ask, so that way we've got those 130 that we can go ahead and give somebody a tree if they've seen the program and didn't make it through the deadline, so. Your supervisor per diem, I'm working on that. Economic development report done, the 100R is started, I need to finish that one. My district report, capacity report for ISDA is done. The MOU is written, I have submitted it to the commissioners. As far as
That's
like,
signed
just
copy.
for them to look at, but we'll have to go, yeah, you guys need to approve that tonight. And then we need to present that to them at a commissioner meeting. I have that scheduled for the 20th. Yeah. And it's an evening meeting that time. I've been planning for the annual meeting. That's more on the agenda later. I have guest speakers, caterers set up. I'm gonna use this room. There are flyers up there with the information for the meeting if you want to take one and share it somewhere. We do want to try to collect donations for door prizes, if you guys can help me do that when you're out and about. David and I both watched the calorie pair tree removal program webinar this morning, and I just left the notes. That'll probably be a project for maybe when we get closer to CWI next fall. That might be a good CWI ask. Legislative Day at the State House is January 27th. I think Stan is going. I am considering going, but I gotta make sure I get all my deadlines done first. And if anybody else wants to go, please let me know. We met with Kyle Spalls. He's the new county administrator yesterday. The meeting.
Josh Messmer's replacement.
Yes, he's replacing Josh Messmer. It went really well. I think, he's gonna be great at letting, organizations and agencies work together. And, I think the one thing I took away from the meeting is that he had one perspective about the project going on at Blue Bluff because of all the trucks that are driving up and down Maple Turn, and he hears nothing but complaints about it. And we were discussing it with him and sharing with him why it was so important to get the project wrapped up and how they were, like, the whole process. He didn't even understand like what they were doing. So I explained, they're removing coal ash from the water table. They're gonna seal it with, cohesive soil, and then they'll encapsulate it when they're done. It's gonna protect our water. He was like, that's amazing. Like, why do people not know that this is what they're doing? Like, they're actually
Well,
doing
we're
something that's
jumping up
gonna
and
be
down,
good
we're
long term. And everybody's complaining about the road, and I'm like, well, now you know. So when people come complain to you, you can share that with them. But he kind of sounds like he would like to lean on us a little bit to share information.
Right.
I mean, we're not gonna share the false information,
in
but
our
like
mission.
just knowledge is power.
Just to follow up on that, I contacted him, reached out, told him whenever he's available, I'm willing to sit down and talk to him about the water system, overall watershed issues and so forth, and Eagle Valley Power Plant, whenever he's ready, so.
Cool.
I'll follow up on that and fill him in on both issues as much as he needs.
Okay.
Great.
And then the last thing I don't have on here, is April 22nd, 2026. I'm working with, the Indiana Alliance of Rural Water and Hoosier Environmental Council to put on another, water planning or water resources and planning workshop here in Martinsville. And, that was, we had the first one back in November, maybe, or October or November, over at the fire station, and they would like to do that again. So we've got it scheduled for April 22nd here in this room. It'll be from 8 to 1, I think, or 8 to noon, maybe. We're looking for maybe an outdoor afternoon activity that would be
April
aligned with
22nd.
their mission.
April 22nd.
22nd, yeah. I think Emma's gonna present at that, the lady that's Amanda, who is setting it up with me, has met Emma, and I think Emma's gonna talk to her, but she wasn't sure what Emma was gonna talk to her about in Martinsville or Morgan County. And then I would like to make sure we cover the Hoosier River Watch program, and Emma's not doing that, and the Mill Creek watershed assessment will be further along at that point too. I'm sure, like, if you may want to present, she's open to having presenters. She's got some other groups coming in. And it'll be kind of like the last one, but here instead of the fire station. So that's all I have for right now.
While we're on the office report, I wanted to see if you've got any update on our amicus brief or any of that process.
No, I'm not.
I haven't either.
All right.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't know where that court, that court hearing.
Good little, just a little progress. Righty, David, you're next on our agenda.
Okay, so I haven't done a whole lot, no weed wrangles, no McNitt meetings, property surveys, although I've got 3 requests, maybe 4. Lisa said she had one. For property surveys when things warm up and conditions are better. I have spent a lot of time in the office managing it while Lisa's gone. Either doing the Mill Creek surveys or whatever. I did write the article for the February article in the magazine, got that turned in the January article to the correspondent. We did get our funding from 2025 from SICM. We maxed out over $9,000 of grants from them. I got an email this morning from Don Slack that we're gonna have a meeting tomorrow at noon on Zoom to talk about 2026 grants. And I wasn't aware that they were gonna have any, but I'll check on that and see what they're doing for that. Set up some of the weed wrangles for 2026. I've talked to SICM, that's in charge of the Fred Dorothy Mayer Nature Preserve, and they have agreed to May 2nd for pulling burning bush in that nature preserve. Sent a request to Jimmy Nash. By the time I wrote this, I have not heard back. Since then I have, and they said any of the April weekends, the 11th, 18th, or 25th was good with them. I emailed the county parks, and they are good with any of those weekends, so I'm gonna coordinate with my people in the McNitt group to make sure I got somebody to assist me on those weekends. And I've got one date set, April 18th will be the Old Town Waverly Park Weed Wrangle. I still have to determine which one I wanna do on the 11th, either Jimmy Nash or Burkhart, and the 25th will be the other. I do have people said that they're willing to help on those days, so I just gotta set dates. Had a Zoom, Lisa mentioned it a little bit ago about the calorie paired buyback. I also watched that, and since we do have quite a bit of funding in our McNitt group, I was thinking possibly we could use some of that funds for a pair buyback program. I do need to run this past the McNitt people to make sure that they're okay with us using those funds. Then I'll come back to the board once they approve for your approval. I did watch another Zoom this morning on invasive mussels in our waterways. It was a program put on by Michigan. They're doing a study in their lakes and ponds to see whether the invasive zebra mussel and the quagga mussels are threatening or rare and endangered native mussels. And they haven't got any strong conclusions. They've only been doing it for 2 years, 2024, 25. They're getting some data about what time of year they're spawning and spreading the spores for the new zebra mussels, and trying to determine if they can do something at that time of the year, but it varies from year to year when they're doing it. So it's still up in the air.
Well, I can be, since they're bad news.
Yeah. Somebody was talking to me about, the river's all nice and clear, and that's good. And I said, well, maybe, but if it's heavily infested with zebra mussels, they're cleaning that water, taking the nutrients away from our native mussels, and so it's back.
Yep.
So, just because the water's clean doesn't mean it's good.
Yep.
I did receive my replacement name tag. I did a weed wrangle out at Burkhart, and the magnet, tree limb or weed stem or something caught it. Now I've got pins, and so they clip on, a little more sturdy. So hopefully that'll stay on.
Wanna work better than us just throw the to the suspender fiber.
Or on the forehead. All right, thank you, David. David, what do you know?
Guys have a good holiday season.
Yeah.
Good to be back. I've been working hard on the Master Naturals program. That'll be starting up in March. So that'll be every Friday from 5:30 to 8:30 for 10 weeks. We have 2 dates reserved in case speaker can show or.
Pick up date.
Yeah. Very, very excited for it. I have almost all of the speakers nailed down. There's a couple like Wild Care that are volunteer wildlife rehabilitation. It's a little more loose on that for backups. And I'm still waiting to hear back from Ray Major because I think he's having some sort of surgery. And he's not sure if he'll be able to make it. So, but other than that, we have a lot of awesome speakers coming in, and I'm really, really excited for. We'll have David. We'll have my friend Kevin Wiener from All Points for the Kevin. Have Bush Kirk Society.
Dylan Allison, who runs, or, I don't know if he properly runs it, but, he does a lot of the River Watch stuff. Holly Sturgeon from, Indiana Geological and Water Survey. She's who taught me in my Indiana Maths and Naturals course, so excited to see her again. Joni James will be doing birds for us. Eli Major, the naturalist at Grand Canyon State Park, will be doing some interpretation for us. And Don Slack will be coming. Very excited for that. I think I listed all of them. But yeah, I'm stoked. The one where Dylan's coming in for Hoosier River Watch, talking about water. Be going to Pioneer Park, going to the site that we do our Hoosier River Watch events at. So we'll actually have people go down, have a hands-on, you know, like exactly what we do. You should come join us, or get trained, do it yourself. So that'll be a lot of fun. And I created a whole, like, several weeks worth of Facebook posts to advertise this, because I was like, I don't know, I was kind of doubting that people would want to do it, because there's a lot of Master Naturalist programs going, like, that are up right now, or upcoming. And I came down with the flu right when it was approved. Like, we heard back from the Master Naturalist Council. Love that they're called that council. But I came down with the flu as soon as they approved it. And so Lisa was kind enough for me to post the main, like, announcement poster. And a handful of days later, we're almost full. Right now we're at 22, and we decided the cap should be 25.
Way to go.
So, I think what I'm gonna do with those posts is just, I've made a Facebook group, for all the people, all the students to join.
Yeah, just keep all your enrolling and go to speed.
There, yeah. So I'm really happy that, you know, we've got that response already. I was gonna make another post to get those last few in, but I'm not even sure.
Afraid to, because she would want to.
Hey, you might get 15.
Yeah. But I might do that anyway, just so we have like
You can create a waiting list
Yeah.
and have some ready for next year.
exactly, yeah. So good
Well, and I
stuff.
told her to shoot like create a slide or a post for each week, and like what you would learn that week, and actually still post those, and like instead of posting them now to get people to sign up, you post them like the week before or the week of when you're doing that. And maybe even if you post them publicly, like, you can't sign up for this now, but here's what we're doing. That's gonna generate some excitement. Hopefully people will be like, oh, I didn't really want to be doing that. Like, I'll sign up.
Yeah, that's the other thing, like, everyone signed up without even really knowing. Like, I didn't talk about any of the speakers coming in on my, like, you know, they were just like, yes, I want to do this. And so just, I'm really happy about that.
Yeah.
This will be the biggest project that I've ever headed, I think, so far. So very nervous, very excited about it.
I think you've got a well laid out plan. And I think you will, well, I'm sure you will do well, but I think from what I've seen so far, you will fly left and right. So I think you have, with the way you have a good plan going in, it'll be successful, and you'll be able to improve on your way through.
I appreciate it. That's part of what I'm excited about. I know we're probably gonna have hiccups, but we're gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
Be better for it. So
Get the right people to support it, it'll come together well.
yeah, really excited. And yeah, in the whole watershed survey, that's been mostly it. I think I'm gonna be continuing to do stuff with the Waverly Public Library, because there was some weird stuff going on there. I showed up for a program, but 30 minutes before the program started, got an email saying that all of the employee that I was taking the programs with, all of her programs were canceled for a disciplinary action, and now she's not there anymore.
Oh.
So,
Mhm.
but they called me, and, we're gonna continue doing that,
Okay.
or something similar.
Yep.
I don't know what went on at all, but.
Yep, but as long as they get someone else in charge of the program and get it transferred, then
Yeah,
away they go.
so, yeah, other
I
than
think
that,
that nature journaling is a great
Yeah.
process for those young people, so
yeah,
just carry on.
excited for it. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Can I say something else?
Yeah,
Bailey mentioned that I'll be speaking at one of those Master Naturalist programs. My speaking calendar is filling up fast. I've already got 3 for March. April, I had to back out from the Boone County Master Gardener Garden Fest because they'd asked me to do it on the 4th, and then they moved it to the 18th because of Easter. And so I couldn't, I already had other things scheduled, and I've already got a request for speaking engagement in March of 2027.
You're nice man, way to go. All right. Okay, thank you for all the reports. I didn't see, did Emma, no, we already talked about them, we didn't have one in there. Okay, Steve?
All right, I'll report first on the Eagle Valley Power Plant. I have continued to have problems getting from IDEM's, virtual file cabinet, the reports, the monthly reports that have the test date in it. I've asked them for it again, but the last one that's on there is August, so as soon as September, October gets in, I'll update those numbers on all of the contaminants and so forth that they're discharging appear to be about the same and so forth. I haven't seen this change in those. I do know that they are continuing to do work in the Talmud A, and they've been trucking in more soil and moving more into the pond and so forth. So that's moving forward. They've again been fortunate through all of this. The river levels and the groundwater levels been. I've reached out to the IDEM inspector and asked for his December report. I haven't seen that yet, but as soon as I have that or get that, I'll forward it on to the board for your information. But they're moving forward. They're making progress. I have not seen anything yet in terms of public notice on or for comment period on the closure plan for D and E. That's still in IDEM's hands. They sent out a request for additional information, but that's in the future that we'll need to continue to watch towards it. The other thing is when I attended with Lisa, the technical review meeting on the data center, asking for information, I asked for information on water use and the vans that they're going to need, how they plan to do that, to actually get the water where they're going to get it from and how they're going to get it to the data center. I've got some information to share on that, but basically from all of this, I've realized that while our Morgan County study is a really great water study, and it gives us a much better understanding of how our aquifers work and how our systems work. What it doesn't do is it doesn't look in depth and provide the information about what's happening in the upstream watershed. And I have some unique knowledge about that, having worked in many of the wastewater and water treatment plants and so forth, understanding how they're working. So I've been putting together a presentation on the overall watershed, how it works, and what the current concern I have is that in the extended dry periods like we've had this last year, September, October, November, and December, the flows in White River have been very, very low. So I wanted to get a feel for, how low is that? What's the flow and what's it pretty much made up of? And I've been able to go on to the Centerton gauge station and gather information. I've gathered information about the flows and so forth, and And I've also gathered information about the discharges during October as a target month. I put all that information together in a presentation to kind of step through and explain kind of how the system works and what the flows actually are and how they're coming down and how low they get during those drier periods. And my concern is with as fast as things are changing, we've got the demands for the data center, and we have the demands for that they're taking water out of the White River Basin and supplying the LEAP project with 25 million gallons a day. That's in process, and we've got current demands in with Eagle Valley in our particular aquifer, Eagle Valley, Mount Martinsville, and Morgan County Rural Water. From what I've learned from networking and communicating and asking questions is that Morgan County Rural Water is in negotiations with Google to actually increase the size of their well field on the White River right up north here to build a new water treatment plant that would enable them to transfer, I believe, 8 to 9 million gallons of water a day up to the data center. And that's going to have an impact on the aquifer and so forth. But again, the concern is what happens during dry weather periods. Everybody, when they saw the study and the results of the study, it kind of indicates we're water rich down here, and everybody feels like we can take it and use that water. And how that's used is up for debate and how and so forth. But the main thing is from the data and the water flow in the river, I'm not certain that there's enough water we're going to end up painting ourselves in a corner. Everybody's making decisions about how to use the water in different places, but not a comprehensive view of it. So I've been gathering this information. I shared it with Don Adams. He was receptive with the information. I've offered to share it to the other two commissioners. I have a meeting tomorrow scheduled with Chip Kellerer, the president of the council, so to present kind of the information to him. And it's mainly as part of our MOU trying to help them understand and give them knowledge about the systems and so that they can make better decisions. I was able also I've offered that to Hiles Falls also, and anyone else that's interested in understanding more about how the system works and to hear the concerns about the demands and things of that nature. And then I also reached out to the DNR, the gentleman who the state has designated. He's a deputy director. His name is Ryan Mueller, and he was kind enough to stop by my office yesterday and sit down with me for an hour and a half. And I stepped through it with him and got an understanding of kind of where and what they're tasked with doing. And they're starting the process, trying to figure out how to break up the overall state, the watersheds, and come up with a plan to determine what the demands are and what the uses are, and then fold that into a larger state plan. The concern is things are happening so fast with the data center and so forth, and there's also significant talk about the possibility of installing a small modular reactor, either at Eagle Valley or at Petersburg. And we're not certain what those demands are going to be in terms of cooling needs and how much water they're going to need and so forth. But again, that's why I'm looking at how low the water gets and whether or not we need to be concerned about its sustainability during the extended dry weather periods in the future, in terms of whether or not we can, they can realistically place SMR there. Petersburg has a much bigger water where the two forks of the White River come together. And so they have a flow that's 2 to 3 times the flow during dry weather periods that we have here in the White River. and there's not down there a huge metropolitan area that's growing, increased demands all the time. So there's a lot of information that I've been able to pull together and put it into presentation form. It's still a work in progress. I'm offering that to anybody who will take the time to listen to me. I've given it to Lisa and David. And as it further develops, I plan to offer it to whoever else is interested in the information and the concerns. And part of the reason is when the water is taken out of either the river or the aquifers all along the White River, upstream and here, the water that's taken out is distributed for use, and only a portion of that water comes back to the wastewater treatment plants. It gets treated, and then it gets discharged back into the river. And so from the information I have during dry weather periods, the flow in the river is down below 400 CFS, and over 250 of that, around 250 of that during dry weather periods is effluent from the major wastewater treatment plants upstream. So everybody needs to understand how the system works to be able to make better decisions about not only how we use it here and so forth, but what we do in the future to handle the growth and these other aspects that are coming in that are needing water.
So as you kind of offer a thought,
Yes.
so you have a great scientific mind and a great environmental. And to summarize, what you're looking at is the recharge. How long does it take to recharge, and what are our recharge sources?
Right.
Most of the people you're going to be interacting with don't think in, they do think about dollars.
Right.
So I would encourage considering looking at this as a withdrawal and deposit process. So these guys that you're interacting with, they'll understand about, maybe not locally, that may be a limit, but when we're talking about withdrawal and recharge, if it's withdrawal and deposit, and if we can make that quantification relative to dollars, it might register, because I think so many people, we know that Lake Powell and Lake Mead on the Colorado River were designed during a period of excess water, and they knew that. They went ahead and did it anyway, and we've gotten away with it. We're about to dead fuel on Lake Powell. Like, it's about time to pay the piper. So if in Indiana, we can start thinking about aquifer recharge sources and make it relative, an analogy to dollars, you might stand a little better chance.
I'll consider that, but I just kind of wanted to make y'all aware of this information I'm putting together, and I'm trying to, again, use it in a way to help people understand how the system works. So, and I'll give you just an example of what I'm pointing out is if we take water from our aquifer and we take it up or Morgan County Grow Water takes it up to the data center. The question then is, where does wastewater and how much comes back out of it? And from the information I've been able to gather, roughly maybe 8 billion gallons will go up there, and they have, from the information that's out there, Monrovia petitioned the IURC to be the exclusive provider for wastewater for the data center. And IURC said, no, you can't do that. So the data center is, from my understanding, communicating and thinking about working with Hendricks County Water District, wastewater district. And I communicated with their engineer and learned that if they were to provide the service, they would have a treatment plant near the corner of the intersection of 70 and 39. That treatment plant would then discharge to McCracken Creek, and the flow to get from that treatment site location back down to where it would get into the White River and back down to our aquifer would be about 22 miles to get back down. If Monrovia provided it and they built the treatment plant and they discharged to Sycamore Creek, that would take about 9 miles and come down through the forest and so forth. So the thing that you have to realize is that makes a difference in terms of how much water is gonna get back down to us and in terms of being able to recharge an aquifer. And their treatment plant, they're talking about a 4 million gallon capacity right now. It's not firm, but so they're potentially, that's 4 million gallons that the data center's gonna lose for evaporation. 4 million gallons will be discharged up there somewhere in one of those creeks. And the question then comes in, well, you know, which one is going to actually enable during extended dry weather periods for that water to get back down and continue to use for recharge. So all of those bits and pieces and all of the other uses upstream have an impact on those low flows. And that's what I'm trying to raise people's awareness about. So that, again, we can make better decisions in terms of what, where, and how to use the resource. So I've asked for permission from Lisa when I do have an opportunity to present this to a larger group, if it's available to use the district's projector. And just to let y'all know, and would be grateful for the use of it. So.
Well, it's a big undertaking. I think it's impactful. I don't want to go down too many side roads with you, but from the heating and cooling engineering standpoint, that much water discharging makes no sense. So it may only be evaporating, one-time fill of evaporation. So circle back with me on that. I'm getting my head on one of those challenges.
All right.
I have one comment. When we met with Kyle Falls, he did say, we talked about the data center a little bit, and he did say one consideration that the commissioners took into their decision-making process was they do know that, like, the water study, the water usage throughout the state, the legislation that's happening right now is all happening very quickly and changing very quickly. And the commissioners felt like with their background and their knowledge, they didn't feel like they had a big enough voice in legislation to kind of protect our water. So one thing that, it wasn't the only decision or the only reason, but one way they could ensure that, our water doesn't get taken out of this aquifer and shipped somewhere else, with the Google does have a big voice. So having a partner in water usage and electricity production in our county may lend beneficial in protecting it in the long run. Yes, they're going to be a big user, but they're going to want to be here. They're going to want it to be successful. So they're looking at it as a partnership deal, which is an aspect of it that I had not really taken into thought, in the whole thing. But they will have a bigger voice.
Well, if they're relying on the water system that's coming out of this actual area, then there should be concerned about the sustainability of the flows coming down the river that will be in the recharge, and what they do has an impact on them. So
Right.
that's what I'm trying to bring to the table, to not only them and so forth. And Lisa's reached out to Roderick Gray and Peggy Mayfield and asked if we could have an opportunity to talk to them about the power plant, as well as, kind of give them an update and I talk about this. And ultimately, what I would like to propose and what I offered to Lisa was, at the annual meeting, because of the critical nature of this and so forth, if we have Liberty come in and talk about the water study itself, I'd like to be able to present some of the data and the information in a way that, again, just increases people's knowledge about the system and how it works and what these decisions are, why it's important we all make the right decisions from here on. So.
Yeah, I think Liberty's going to be the main guest speaker, so she agreed to do that. I don't know if I followed up with you or not. I just have it on the thing. And I think what her focus will be the study that the county asked her in Terra to do, and just to brief some of the results of that, and mostly like how to access all that data online. So yeah, I'm hoping you can follow up with a short presentation afterwards that talks about why it's important to check all this stuff out and understand how it works together.
Well, I think, something that might tie into that. And so I want to get back to all our agenda items, but I think something to make people aware of is, we have systems in place for water rights west of the Mississippi. And it's amazing to recognize we live in a day and a time because of industrial development that we need to establish water rights in Indiana. If that doesn't rattle somebody, they are under a rock. Saying that's a lot of work, thank you, it's impactful. Okay, now we have our consent agenda, always open for discussion, but it's all of our normal stuff. It's our minutes for our December board meeting, we've all already signed those. Our December financials, which are all waiting and ready for the year and stuff, and then all of our payments that are all, listed out and ready to go. So we can go into discussion for any of that, or if there's no need for discussion, we can approve it all as one motion.
You say we've already signed December meeting notes?
That's what, yes.
Okay, I was just gonna suggest that we might include him a little bit in the environmental issues, just to, in the summary, we talked about, or you reported that I downloaded the discharge reports and that kind of stuff, but it's not clear what it's for. It's fine, just that, I think,
Well, I can change
Anybody-
that and just reprint that one page with all your signature stuff if you want.
yeah, that would be fine. Basically, what we need to do is just to say, Stan Diamond reported on the Eagle Valley Power Plant, ash closures, something to initiate it so that anybody reading the minutes or whatever understands what we're talking about.
Eagle Valley Power Plant.
Ash on closure activities and the plant operation. Just so,
Yeah, on closure where?
yeah, ash pond closure. And
And the discharge
Plant op-
reports are the PDI.
yeah,
That's or.
MPDES. Right. Other than that, with that change, I'd make a motion to accept or is there any other?
Are there any other questions on the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes subject to that modification, addition.
And a second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye. There we go.
Thank you.
Okay, now on to old business, putting the budget together for our annual meeting. So we've got food, which is normal budget item, but then we also need to navigate the speaker.
Yeah, she didn't say anything about charging that though.
Well, I think
she's
we've had that in the past, because we tried to make a donation.
Well, this isn't an work with the business.
Yeah. Okay.
If she's willing to do it, it's promoting her business and so forth, it's honorary, probably not necessary.
Yeah,
So,
and I think like the county has hired her to educate. She said one of their
Part of
main
her
goals
compensation
for her
package.
was to teach people how to use that information.
Okay.
I would assume that it would be not. I will say though, like, I have reached out to Lisa James and I have back as far as her, she's agreed to do it, but she's not given an estimate
That's fine.
for cost.
Oh,
Last year
for
was-
supper.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the biggest expense, and
Yeah.
it was $12 a plate last year, so. I don't know if that will go up again this year, it was $10, I think. the year
I think it's
before that.
fair, so 100 attendees, $15 a plate.
Yeah, she said it's more than that, then we get other options.
If, I
Because we
think
don't-
it's pretty crazy. Day and age,
It
you go to the
is, but I
grocery
mean-
store and choke, so. I mean, I get it. Are there any other expenses that you
The
anticipate?
plaques are usually, under $150.
So if we set a budget of $2,000, we would be,
Wait, yeah, that should be.
should be over and above to where, You don't have to sweat anything? Is that reasonable to you all?
Did you put, how much?
I said maybe 2,000, if we said like $15 a plate for 100 and then 150 for the Old Wars be 1650, that gives us some leeway. Y'all good with that?
I'll make a motion to allow $2,000.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Yep.
While we're on that subject though, I don't know. I don't know if I- Carry on, sorry.
Did we define, just so for my clarity, did we define the date for that yet?
Yes, the 19th of February. With a backup date of February 2.
Maybe 100%. Good. And it's 6 o'clock, not 6:30. Okay. Did I squirrel from your squirrel?
Nope, you're good.
Okay.
At least they put that black so we can off. See,
Which awards have you gotten? Boy, you get,
I got one farm of the year.
you haven't gotten the River Friendly Farmer Award though, like Doug's got over here, big farm top.
Okay. Standing into our association annual meeting.
I did, and I wanted to just briefly report that the meeting was, interesting, the networking period with, or the roundtable with the state legislators. We had one Republican, one Democratic there, some other folks that talked about regulations and the current situations and so forth. That was very helpful and so forth. It was just after the state had voted not to redistrict, so there was some interesting interaction associated with that. In any event, there were 3 resolutions that came up. One was to consider putting together a study group to determine whether or not you could combine districts and, with districts that weren't working, or weren't.
Put a couple
full
counties
and put a
together.
couple counties together. That was ultimately voted down. The other one was, the possibility of trying to designate, or refund, the Indiana bottle deposit revenues, toward, our organization and so forth. And that was also voted down because we don't really have a bottle deposit revenue system set up, and trying to get the state to redirect that to organization in some fashion, was going to be problematic in any event. So that was voted down. The only one that I voted for that was voted down also was the resolution that will allow a landowner, property owner who lives in an adjacent district to be able to serve if he has farm ground in one district, if he can serve in that district from soil conservation. We talked about that, one of the individuals that was interested. And that was also voted down. They didn't want to take and, I don't agree with it, because I think if you own ground and you farm ground in that one district and you active and you want to be active in the association, you ought to be able to serve, but they voted it down. So everything was an uphill battle, but in any event, that was kind of the outcome of the meetings. And I'll leave it at that.
It's a good meeting. Thank you for representing us. I think that being at those places, you never know who you run into, and representing our group, it just helps the whole system work. So thank you. Thank you. All right, so we need to transfer $301.72 from Tisch Group into the general fund to reimburse ourselves for expenses relative to fish. Do you need a motion to approve that, Vincent?
Yep, already been approved by Fish Group, and but your approval could be over $300.
Okay, need a motion.
Rates for $1.
In a second.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. No opposed. Again, kind of housekeeping, reward points on the credit card transfer into the statement credit. You started doing that several years ago and it
Yeah.
works well. Do you need a motion to accept those or is that just more of a?
I am just gonna play it safe and have you guys make a motion to do that, so the reward,
What I thought.
you know, a redemption of rewards, I could get myself a new backpack cooler or something, but I figured putting $200 back into our state were wise choice.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
I think that's, you know, the way you keep everything so accurate and straightforward, you know, every time you've had any type of audit, they give you gold stars. So. Right.
Right.
It's second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
I will say we're like at 1,900 points right now. And I think they have to go in like 1,000 point increments for $100. So I may wait until like all of the next statements.
Get it up
when
to
it comes to, so I can
2,000.
like get 2,000
Yeah.
a little bit more.
Good idea.
I want to make sure that.
So there's an extra number in here, okay, extend deadline. I don't think we want to take it out of the year
No,
20,106.
No, there isn't.
But I think it needs to be 26.
I do.
Conservation agreement with that $550, but still. See, both you.
Yes, and actually they have already, I accidentally let this one slip by. They have gone past their 1 year already. So if whoever makes the motion can make that retroactive to include their.
Oh,
most
because what is it,
recent
June
payment.
2025?
Yes.
Okay.
And we have made a payment to them this fall.
Okay.
And I was like, it's been a year and I was looking through all the grants, making sure that they're all wrapped up, and I was like, oh.
Yeah. Wasn't dollars available, it's just deadline there. So.
They also have gotten, from the Fish Group, the Fish Group did allocate $2,000 toward that project too. I don't know that we're now, they're getting close to wrapping that project up since they did not decide to do the rain garden in addition to the, native pollinator. But they may, right, it could still happen and they still have $2,000 available for that, but I did include a report
Well, there's
there at this point.
extensions beyond reason, so.
Right, and they have been really good at giving, Ruth is real good about typing up a quarterly report to let them know what they're working on. I included that in this packet, so you guys can see that. Yes, they need an extension, but if they're using the money, they're being really good about the way they do this.
We need a motion to extend the deadline from June 2025 to June 2026, retroactive.
Make the motion.
In a second. Second. All in favor? Aye. No opposed. This next one was sad, but okay. Give us more housekeeping. We got an outstanding check to Lou from January 2024. So we report that. We have a motion for that.
I make a motion that we void the check with Lou Bergen's dated January 2024.
How much was that for? Just
It's in that one, Lisa. The outstanding check, like 60.
$64.04. Because, per diem the last year.
all right.
All in favor? Aye. No opposed? Tell me more about the scholarships available to Neil Master Naturalist class.
I'm gonna let Bailey talk about that and
Okay.
her thoughts, and then kind of want to loop in there with that, whether or not we decide to take scholarships, or they want to purchase, discussed last time, purchasing some handouts or takeaways from that program. for
Ring
folks.
gauges or something.
Right, so I think she has some idea about.
Okay.
how to-
Yeah, I don't know if we'll need scholarships at this point, given that we have
Yeah.
22 people, already, signed up for it, so, but, yeah, we did talk about, having some kind of handout, things for people to take home for, from the course. Just, I can throw out some ideas,
Like a master naturalist bumper sticker or magnet or something is pretty cool, you know what I mean? Like, that's better than my kid's an honor student kind of thing.
yeah, I mean, we could do, anything like that where it's like branded, although, the logo is trademarked, so you have to get approval for things like that. I'm sure they'd allow something like that, but, for things like that that aren't just like actively advertising, you do have to get approval for that, but, we also thought about like iLoops, I don't know if Hoosier River Watch will be giving those away. I don't know how that's done.
What was that? Say,
I don't know if Hoosier River Watch will be giving away iLoops, themselves, since they do that with their trainings.
Like the little magnifying glass you can carry in your pocket, it
Okay.
slides out.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah.
It slides out and you can identify macroinvertebrates with it. You could look at, for plants, you could look at the stem attachment, edges of the leaf, it could be used for a lot of their different.
Is it gonna have journals for it? Journals? Okay, yeah. Yeah, take those. Yeah, they will be getting, yeah. 'Cause
Now, we
I
have the
bought-
little notepads that the district has, but a journal might be better, but.
Yeah, but if they're fine stickers. That'd be cool. I did think about having a journal backup thing.
Do you think binder, like a binder for them to put all their material in?
Yes.
And would be,
I should say they will be getting a binder,
okay.
with, lined paper, and resource stuff. That's something I think I'm required to give them. But, yeah, that is.
Already factored in.
Yeah.
The cost.
Do you wanna just, so, I can bounce ideas around all evening, so.
Great.
How about just setting a budget how many participants is 22
You're gonna limit it at 25.
or 25? So if you figured $20 per participant, that's $500. Is that a reasonable? Does that, I'm not much of a goodie bag buyer. Is that reasonable?
We were thinking more of not like goodie bag stuff, but like
Yeah.
usable things, like
Right,
field
right,
guides
yeah.
or things that they might be able to course, and then also like. out
So,
in the field.
is that a reasonable target, $20 per person, or are you thinking it'll be 25 or?
I think we'll take whatever you guys want to budget for us. I would think. Have you looked at any of the field guides or know how much those kind of?
Yeah, that might be more like $30 a piece.
Yeah.
I'm not super sure on that. That's just something that they recommend as like a giveaway thing, or like a take home thing.
When does your classes don't start till March? So we have another meeting before this.
Yeah, but you don't wanna have to be in a rush to order your goodies.
I was gonna say we could put an estimate together and send out an email and then make it final at the next board. meeting. You guys want.
Could we flip it around and say, okay, let's allocate X dollars? And if you find something that would be really cool, some super cool field guide, and it doesn't fit within the budget, we can always add more to it. So, you know me, I'm always eager to make sure we support people leading with resources.
Mhm.
So from the resource point of view, you could make it $50 a participant, and I would support it, but I don't want to overdo. So that'd be $1,250, $1,250 for your group if there's 25 participants.
I will say also, the original estimate we had for participants was 20, at $100 each. But we're thinking 25 would probably be fine.
Yeah. $500 to your budget.
Yeah. And the costs that I came up with for the budget were also like, I all.
That's good.
For
I don't know,
$800 additional to the budget to do with work. Take off with.
Let's start with that. That way we have it defined, and then if you find something super cool, then you can email it out. That sound good?
Yep, I'll make a motion for 500, budget for the handouts.
In a second. Second. All in favor? Aye. How do you get that?
Who, seconded
Okay.
that?
Stan first and Roy second. And everybody said yes. Award recipients for our annual meeting.
I have 3 suggestions.
Okay.
I know we usually give away 4 awards, but I have reached out to Tommy about it. He sent me an email and said, would you like for me to help you with that? And all of you want to message. I'd love for you to help me with that, but we haven't actually talked about it.
Okay.
But I do have notes in my calendar. Trying to, this is, I told Bailey today,
Yeah,
this is
keep
like
up
one of
with
those
it through the
things
year.
that at the end of the year, I'm always like,
Yep.
who have we worked with all year long? What did we do all year long? I don't remember what I want to do. But Roy actually has never, I didn't think he had, I wanted to verify, has never received the River Friendly Farmer Award. And actually, I had an NRCS employee recommend him for that as well. So, because he's doing prescribed grazing, he's doing pasture reseeding, he's been doing invasive species control in the pasture and the woods, he's doing forest
I use
stand
area for that.
improvement, and all of these things are along water lines. So, huh?
Up the river, coming off the river, through the farm.
Well, you have creeks and streams. in
Yeah,
your
right.
farm.
Great. Nitrogen doesn't leave your farm.
So,
And it's nitrogen and so nitrogen and sediment. Generally, do not leave your farm because of your practices. So those are kind of the 2 prime dynamics within River Friendly.
so he was recommended as a River Friendly Farmer Award. You've already received the Farmer of the Year, right? I think we did that a couple years, maybe the year before you became a supervisor.
Same here about.
So I would like to recommend him for that. I would like to recommend, Patrick O'Brien for our Conservationist of the Year. He could also double, we could give him a nomination for that, because we can do up to 2 a year. We could nominate him for a River Friendly Farmer as well, not really a farmer, but he has 5 acres, it's very close to Pat Lake. He received a local grant from us, and he has done extensive work on that 5 acres. They've removed all woody invasives that are large enough to put on seed, specifically targeted, the mature species, or the mature plants in those species. He's cataloging, all of the plants and wildlife that they have there or have seen on the property. It's an invasive removal lot. I shared those with me. He's had David come out and do an invasive property survey. He had Nick Garza, I think he's with IU, maybe come out and help him create.
Identify the grasses.
Yeah, the species, because they did do that. He did a full site survey while he was there. They have a working Excel file for their property that he and his wife keep track of things and share with me. Helped with the weed wrangles, I believe. He comes to some of David's meetings.
He's already volunteered for one.
Yeah,
this
so
spring.
he's not a big parcel of ground, but he's really,
Exemplifying what you'd hope for.
yeah, and it is near Pat. So I would like to recommend him for Conservationist of the Year. And then Friends of Conservation this year, that's the organization or business that we can kind of give a little recognition. And last year we did the Neighbors magazine, and Danny Green, who was our crop advisor consultant for our last grant. This year I would like to recommend the correspondent, Morgantown Correspondent. They're really good at helping us get the word out for our programs and sharing information. The county for, star events, like environmental issues in general. So those are my 3 recommendations. We have room for more.
Do you have
Anyways,
anybody in the educator?
I do not.
I didn't know if, Matthews is fantastic. Plays every year, but, I didn't know if there were any others that you interact.
Not really, not this year. Bailey's worked a little bit with the library and made that one lady, but now she's there.
And I don't know what happened, so.
Yeah.
We talked about nominating her, but, I figure next year, the more programs we get involved in, the more, hopefully the more educators will
Okay.
get tied into that. We haven't always given an education award every year. It's
Yeah.
kind of,
Okay.
I need to work on, the FFA or 4-H members. We've always kind of focused on FFA. But last year we had, junior leaders, I believe, came and helped and, did serving at the annual meeting. This year might be tough because, and I think last year was also FFA. It just falls on the same week that we do our annual. So next year, I don't know, maybe we decide to put it back for something in March.
Might be worth hitting up the IAS kids too.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're Amber's super
I know,
active.
the FFA kids are so busy that week
Yeah.
with after school activities, the big
Yeah.
FFA week. I'll see what I can do. If not, if I get no's from the FFA chapters, nobody's available, then I'll look at probably like, a different 4-H group, like maybe the swine club or the cow.
I'm sure we
Those
can correct
kids
you.
would be going. So,
So do you need approval for that slate of nominees?
sure. Or does anybody have any other recommendations or thoughts, or it's really more of a discussion? I guess.
Do we really need to approve it? With a-
I don't think so. I think as long as we're all good with it.
Well,
Everybody good with it?
okay with
Yeah.
that.
Okay. So the MOU we do every year, last year you made some amendments and changes. And I already signed the copy in there. I didn't have last year's for reference. There were no changes this year, right?
Just the amount that they're giving us and dates.
Okay. Okay.
We did tweak it a little bit last year with them.
Do you need, is that more of just an notification or is that anything you need?
No,
more
you guys
action on?
need to approve that.
Okay, so we need either discussion, if there's any questions, or a motion for our MOU. Yeah. In a second.
A second.
All in favor? Aye. There you go. No opposed. Tell us about staying out and flying to the precinct committee meeting.
Yeah, I just wanted to make certain, I didn't violate any regulations or laws or whatever the case may be. I am going to serve, or file the form to be on the ballot for Democratic precinct committeeman for Washington 8, and also a delegate to the convention. So just letting y'all know I'm doing it.
We're still getting compensated, that's the key.
Not
We've
being
already checked
compensated.
with, the county clerk, and I called the consulting with the IFPA to make sure it's
Terrific.
okay, and they both said yes, so.
You're really,
But,
you've always said that, but you find more and more ways to serve, so. You're a great example.
it's just on the agenda, honestly, because Nathan said he felt like it should be in the minutes, and, when Stan filled out his conflict of interest form, he said he would recommend it on there.
Lots of service.
That's what happens when you retire. That's right.
You're busy.
Well, I feel like that, the big issue right now and the push is obviously the water issues and the water, helping to educate everybody that I can on that. It's critical, but, some of these issues are also being impacted by the legislature. For example, the small nuclear reactor, modular reactor, the legislation's been passed last April. That would enable the power companies to petition AURC to get to get reimbursed, to raise their rates, to be able to have the money to both plan, design, and construct the nuclear power plants. And I think, again, that's just, everybody needs to be aware of those issues, and we need to continue to push our legislators to do the right thing. So, I need to,
I just gotta think, what talked about earlier about the water situation, for the state, but I think that's gonna be, certainly we think it's gonna be an issue, because we're gonna have a water here, and we're gonna get that
It's
water.
taken for
We're gonna
granted.
get it in other place. And I think that a lot of these counties are going in, and they're having new companies come in, and, you know, oh yeah, we'll approve it. And I think the state needs to come in and set up a committee or whatever they need to do, and actually do actual tests around the whole state, see where the water tables are, how they flow, what's available. And then when these, unknown companies come into these counties, throwing the dollars up and saying, oh, take this.
Right.
The county then needs to look at this stuff, because this water situation should be in front of the purchase of the land,
And
it's
it's-
not
and it's-
after.
You're right.
Now
and
you're trying to catch up.
And it's at the regional level, it's not just county, and really, it's not just state, it's
So
regional.
now what's gonna happen with the reactors south of us? What's gonna happen?
Right.
I remember a few years ago, it's been a while, but I remember there was talk in the county about taking Stouts Creek area, damming it up, and the water going to Indianapolis. So how long is it gonna be before Indianapolis starts saying, we need some water?
well,
They're
it's already,
growing out there in Indianapolis, Marketfield area is growing.
they already have citizens in Morgan County area, service area, northwest corner, northwest deal, and they're planning on increasing the size of their Waverly well field in order to provide water this direction and so forth. So all of that is talked about in the information that I put together. And the challenge that we have is that Brian Mueller is responsible for putting that study together, and actually having that information there, and monitoring what's out there. But the time that it's going to take for that to come to fruition is going to be too late. And so we really need to make certain that
It's like that, we get it, and it's too late now, everybody, I think they've got that.
Well, sometimes we think that, but there's times that large scale projects have stopped. And so I don't advocate, leaning that way, but it happens where we go, oh, we didn't think this all the way through, and a lot of people go.
And the wheels start to turn
Yes.
more fast and
Yeah,
fast.
that's right. And so again, in Colorado or in Wyoming, they would have already said, we can't. But in east of the Mississippi, people just take water for granted. Well, thank you for that service, David. You're stepping up big time. Okay, so calendar, next month we'll be here the 11th, and we will be here the 19th.
If you look at your calendar, the second entry there, it's a mistake, but you guys are more than welcome to come. I'm meeting Katie at Chicago's tomorrow at 11:30 for lunch. So if anybody wants to join, you got into the wrong calendar. I realized that right before the.
Which one, in Mooresville or the new
Nope,
one here in
the new
town?
Yeah. I
You're not
said,
gonna go
whoops, I put that in the board member's calendar.
Yeah.
Just let me know if you're coming so I can reserve the people.
Normally, I would say, is there anything else for the good of the order, but we have process for the agenda, so I don't have to worry about that. So, I need a motion to adjourn. Let's go. We have to do our training session.
Well, I didn't know if the road's kind of being bad and it's already after 8 o'clock.
Let's go.
Well, that's a phone call on Sunset, we're getting back.
Yeah,
That's something about up at the fisheries, it was closed, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's the big, busy piece of the time with the road.
69.
Yeah. It's Fruit Street, which is appropriate, it's just a little bit, they should have did it pretty deep, and it's frozen, it's gonna be slick.
watch yourself.
And it was totally hard.
Coming over on South Street, Chris. Feeling
You guys.
tires spinning.